Right now, in this exact minute, someone you love is doing something that could stop their heart before lunchtime. They don't know it, their doctor has probably never mentioned it. And it isn't smoking, it isn't a bad diet, it isn't skipping their pills. It's something they do before they've even opened their eyes all the way. Something billions of people do, every single morning, without ever being told the truth about what it's doing to them. I've spent years sitting across from patients in the hours after their hearts nearly gave out, and I keep hearing the same sentence. But I felt fine when I woke up. That sentence should worry you more than any symptom, because the morning isn't a gentle beginning to your day. It's the most dangerous window your heart faces in every 24 hours, and almost nobody is warning people about it. My name is Dr. Joseph Collins, and I am a medical health educator. For years, I've studied why so many cardiac emergencies happen not during stress at work, not during arguments, not even during exercise, but quietly, in bedrooms, in bathrooms, in kitchens, in the first 60 minutes after waking up. And what I've found is something the medical world knows, but rarely explains to the people who need it most, people over 60, and the sons, daughters, and spouses who love them. Before I go any further, I want to say something clearly, because this next hour of information can feel heavy if I don't. None of what I'm about to share is your fault. You were never taught this. Nobody sat you down and explained what your own body goes through the moment you wake up. So there's no shame here, no blame, no judgment, just information that should have reached you decades ago and never did. Here's what almost nobody understands about waking up. Your body does not simply switch on like a lamp. It detonates. The instant your eyes open, your brain sends out a flood of stress hormones. Your heart rate climbs, your blood vessels tighten. Your blood pressure, which has been calm and steady for hours, jumps hard and fast, sometimes by 20 points or more in a matter of minutes. This is happening to you right now, every morning, whether you notice it or not. For a younger body, this internal storm is manageable. Elastic arteries, a heart with decades less wear, a nervous system that reacts quickly and corrects itself. But after 60, 70, 80 years of use, the entire system responds slower, tightens harder, and forgives far less. Your heart has been working since before some of your grandchildren were born, without a single day off. And every morning, it faces this storm with less flexibility than it had the year before. Doctors have known about this morning surge for a long time. It's part of why cardiac emergencies cluster so heavily in the hours between waking and noon, far more than at any other point in the day, a pattern seen again and again in hospitals everywhere. What's rarely explained to patients, and almost never explained to families, is what tips that surge from something your body can absorb into something it can't. That gap in understanding is exactly what this video is going to close for you. Now here's the part almost no one talks about. This storm on its own is usually survivable. Your body is built to handle it. The real danger isn't the storm itself. It's what billions of people unknowingly add on top of it. Simple, ordinary habits that feel harmless, that feel healthy even, but that hit your cardiovascular system at the exact worst possible moment while it's already working at its limit. I'm going to walk you through these hidden risks over the next few minutes, one at a time, in plain, simple language, the same way I would explain it to my own family sitting at my kitchen table, not to frighten you, to prepare you. Because once you understand what your body is quietly fighting through every single morning, you'll never look at your own routine the same way again, and neither will the people you love. If you have a parent, a spouse, or a close friend over 60, I want you to think of them right now while you watch this, because what I'm about to share isn't only for you. It's for whoever comes to your mind first when I say the words heart attack or stroke. Keep them in mind. You may end up sharing this with them before the day is over, and it could matter more than either of you realizes. Maybe it's a mother who lives alone and calls you every morning just to check in. Maybe it's a husband who's always been stubborn about going to the doctor. Maybe it's a friend who's proud of how healthy their routine already is. Hold that person in your mind as we go, because by the end of this video, you'll know something about their mornings that could genuinely change how many more of them they get to have. Let's start with the first hidden risk. The one almost 9 out of 10 people do without ever thinking twice about it. The alarm goes off. Your eyes open. And within a second or two, you're already moving, swinging your legs over the bed, pushing yourself upright, standing. It feels efficient. It feels like discipline. For most of your life, it probably never caused a single problem. But here's what's actually happening inside your body in that moment. While you were lying down, your blood was distributed evenly. No real pull from gravity. Everything calm. The second you stand up fast, gravity pulls a significant amount of that blood straight down into your legs. Your heart suddenly has far less blood available to send up to your brain, and your brain cannot function even briefly without a steady supply. In a younger body, tiny pressure sensors in your neck and chest catch this drop instantly and correct it before you'd ever notice. But as we age, those same sensors slow down. They react late. And in that gap between the drop and the correction, your brain runs short on oxygen. That's the dizzy spell. That's the moment your vision blurs for a second when you stand up too fast. Many people brush it off as nothing. It is not nothing. When your body finally catches up to what's happening, it often overcorrects hard, flooding your system with stress hormones to force your blood pressure back up, which can leave your heart beating fast and erratically at the exact moment it can least afford it. This single, ordinary habit, the one nearly everyone does without thinking, is quietly linked to a shocking number of falls, fainting spells, and cardiac emergencies in people over 60, almost always in the very first minutes after waking. Think about that for a second. Not during a stressful commute, not during a difficult conversation, not even during physical activity. In the bedroom, seconds after opening your eyes, doing something that looks completely ordinary from the outside. That's what makes this particular risk so easy to miss and so important to understand, because it hides inside a movement most of us have repeated the exact same way, every single day, for decades, without a single warning sign to tell us anything was wrong. The good news, and I promise you there is good news, is that this particular risk has one of the simplest fixes I will share with you in this entire video. But I want you to sit with what you just learned for a moment first, because understanding why something is dangerous is what makes people actually change the habit, not just being told to change it. There are 4 more of these hidden morning risks I need to walk you through, each one just as common, each one just as overlooked, and one of them in particular is responsible for more sudden cardiac emergencies in people over 60 than almost anything else on this list. I'll show you exactly what it is, why it happens, and the simple adjustment that protects against it. Before we continue, if you or someone in your life is over 60, please subscribe to this channel now. I share information like this regularly, evidence-based, explained simply, built for people who deserve to understand their own bodies without a medical degree. The algorithm only shows this to people who are already subscribed, which means the parent or spouse you're thinking of right now may never see it unless you're subscribed to bring it to them. Stay with me, because what comes next changed how I look at something almost every one of us reaches for before we've even had breakfast. And once you hear it, you won't reach for it the same way again. Before we go further, let's remember where we left off. Your body wakes up already fighting a storm, hormones spiking, pressure climbing, a heart working harder than it has all night. And the first hidden risk, standing up too fast, adds fuel to a fire that's already burning. Now, let's talk about something even more common. Something that happens in almost every kitchen, in almost every home, within minutes of waking up. By the time your eyes open in the morning, you've gone somewhere between 7 and 9 hours without a single sip of water. Every breath you took while sleeping released moisture into the air. Every hour added up, and most people wake up already running low, without ever feeling thirsty enough to notice. Here's what that actually does inside your body. Your blood is mostly water. When water runs low, your blood doesn't shrink evenly. The number of blood cells stays the same, but the fluid around them drops. What's left behind is thicker, heavier, slower moving. Picture syrup instead of water trying to move through the same narrow pipes. Your heart now has to push harder just to move that thicker blood through your arteries, at the exact moment it's already under pressure from the morning surge we talked about. Thicker blood carries another danger most people never hear about. It clots more easily. The cells inside it stick together more readily, the way sand sticks together when it's damp instead of dry. If there's already a weak, fragile spot inside one of your arteries, a spot most people don't even know they have, that stickier blood is far more likely to catch there and build into a blockage. This single mechanism, morning dehydration meeting a fragile artery, is part of why so many heart attacks and strokes happen in these early hours, more than at any other time of day. It's worth pausing on that fact for a moment, because it isn't a small statistic. Emergency rooms see this pattern year after year. The early morning hours, right after waking, carry a noticeably higher risk of heart attack and stroke than any other stretch of the day. Doctors have documented this pattern for decades. What's far less common is anyone connecting that pattern back to something as simple and fixable as what you drink, or don't drink, in the first few minutes you're awake. Most people don't reach for water first thing. They reach for their phone, they reach for coffee, they head straight for the bathroom. All understandable, all completely normal, and all missing the one thing your body is quietly begging for in that moment. This isn't about willpower or discipline. Nobody ever told you this mattered, so there was never a reason to think about it differently. And there's no reason to feel bad about something you were never taught in the first place. Here's the simple truth I want you to walk away with. A glass of water within the first few minutes of waking begins reversing that thickness almost immediately. Your blood starts thinning back out, your heart's workload starts easing, and that heightened clotting risk starts dropping, all within minutes. I'll walk you through exactly how much and exactly when later in this video. For now, just notice something. Tomorrow morning, before your phone, before your coffee, before anything else, see how long it actually takes you to reach for water. That awareness alone changes people. Now let's talk about the next hidden risk. And this one might be the hardest for some of you to hear, because for so many of us, it's sacred, it's coffee. I'm not here to take your coffee away from you. I drink it myself. This isn't about giving up something you love. It's about understanding what your body is doing with it, especially in that first cup, especially on an empty stomach, especially right after waking. Caffeine is a stimulant. That's not new information. What is new to most people is exactly how it behaves in a body that's already flooded with morning stress hormones. Caffeine triggers your adrenal glands to release even more adrenaline. It speeds your heart rate up further. It tightens your blood vessels further, and it pushes your blood pressure up, sometimes sharply, within minutes of that first sip. On an empty stomach, there's nothing to slow any of this down. No food to buffer the absorption. Caffeine reaches its peak in your bloodstream far faster than it would if you'd eaten something first, sometimes in less than 20 minutes instead of the usual 30 to 60. That means the full force of that stimulant hits your cardiovascular system all at once. At the exact moment it's already dealing with the morning surge, and possibly, if you skip that glass of water, thickened blood on top of it. For a younger heart, with flexible arteries and no hidden buildup, this combination is usually just uncomfortable at worst, maybe some jitteriness, a racing feeling that passes. But for a heart that's been working for 6, 7, 8 decades, arteries that have naturally stiffened with age, and possibly some narrowing nobody's ever diagnosed because it's never caused a symptom, that same combination asks far more of the system than it may be able to safely give. I've reviewed enough of these cases to notice a pattern that almost nobody in the wellness world talks about. The coffee itself rarely creates a problem out of nothing. What it does is act like a spark near something that was already unstable, a narrowed artery, a fragile plaque, a heart already stretched thin by everything else happening that morning. Remove the spark, or simply change when and how it's introduced, and the risk drops significantly without asking anyone to give up something they genuinely enjoy. This is the part I want you to really sit with, because it surprises almost everyone I explain it to. Many cardiac events linked to morning coffee have nothing to do with how much coffee someone drank over the years. They're linked to the timing of a single cup, taken too fast, on too empty a stomach, at the exact worst moment for the body to absorb that kind of jolt. None of this means coffee is your enemy. It means timing and preparation matter far more than most people have ever been told. And once you know that, the fix is almost embarrassingly simple, something I'll walk you through fully later in this video, right alongside the water habit we just covered. I want to pause here again, the same way I did in the last part, because I think it matters. If you're watching this and thinking of your own morning coffee, or your father's, or your husband's, or a friend who swears by their strong espresso the second they're out of bed, I'm not asking you to feel afraid for them. I'm asking you to feel informed enough to have one simple conversation with them. That conversation, more than almost anything else in this video, is the one that actually changes outcomes. I think about this often because it's rarely the dramatic warnings that change a family's habits. It's the small, quiet moment where someone says, "Hey, did you know this about your morning coffee?" over breakfast, without lecturing, without fear, just information passed from someone who cares to someone they love. That's the real reason I make these videos. Not to alarm anyone, but to give you the words to start that exact conversation today. 2 hidden risks down, 3 still ahead, and I promise you, one of them is the one that surprises people the most, because it's marketed everywhere as one of the healthiest things you can possibly do for yourself in the morning. It isn't, not the way most people are doing it, and definitely not at the age many of the people trying it happen to be, no matter how convincing the videos promoting it might look. If this information feels new to you, if it feels like something you wish someone had explained years ago, that reaction tells you something important. It means this is exactly the kind of thing worth passing along. Comment below and tell me honestly, water or coffee first in your house? I read every single one, and I promise you, there's no wrong answer here, only honesty, because honesty is what actually helps me understand which of these habits I need to explain even more clearly for people like you. Stay with me, because what's coming next involves something millions of people over 60 have started doing in just the last few years, convinced it was making them stronger, when for a heart their age, it can do exactly the opposite. Let's pick up where we left off. Standing too fast, drinking too little, and coffee timing, 3 hidden risks down. Now let's talk about the one that surprises people the most, because it's been sold to millions as one of the smartest things you can do for your health. Intense exercise, first thing in the morning, before your body has really woken up. I want to be completely clear before I go any further. Exercise is one of the best things you can do for your heart, at any age. Nothing I'm about to say changes that. This isn't about avoiding movement. It's about understanding timing and why the first hour after waking is the 1 hour your cardiovascular system is least prepared to handle a sudden, intense demand. Remember everything we've already covered. Stress hormones already elevated, blood pressure already climbing, blood possibly thicker than it should be if that first glass of water hasn't happened yet. Your entire system is already working close to its limit just to get you standing and moving through a normal morning. Now add a brisk run, a heavy set of weights, a fast-paced workout class on top of all of that, and you're asking a system already near its ceiling to suddenly climb even higher. Your muscles demand more oxygen the moment you push into intense activity. Your heart has to pump significantly more blood, faster, to keep up. In a younger body, with wide open arteries and plenty of reserve capacity, that demand gets met without much strain. But in a body that's been living and working for 6, 7, 8 decades, arteries that have naturally narrowed or stiffened over the years may simply not be able to deliver enough oxygen fast enough, especially if there's narrowing nobody's ever diagnosed, because it's never caused a symptom before that moment. This becomes even riskier for people who exercise on an empty stomach, without having had any water either. The body is forced to pull energy from wherever it can find it, blood sugar drops further, and the heart is left trying to power intense activity with a fuel supply that's already running thin. It's not one single factor causing harm. It's several of these hidden risks stacking on top of each other, all at once, in the same 60 minutes. This is exactly why so many stories of sudden collapse during morning workouts involve people who looked healthy right up until it happened. They weren't reckless. They were doing something genuinely good for their bodies, at the one time of day their bodies were least equipped to receive it well. Nobody had told them timing could matter just as much as the workout itself. If you enjoy morning exercise, and many of you do, and should, here's the simple shift that changes everything. Give your body 2 to 3 hours after waking before anything intense. Let the morning surge settle. Have some water, have a little food. Then, when you do move, ease into it, rather than jumping straight into your hardest effort. Your heart gets the same benefit, without being asked to perform its hardest work at its most vulnerable hour. Now, the final hidden risk, and this is the one I've been building toward, because it's become one of the most dangerous trends I've seen promoted to people who should never have been told to try it in the first place. Cold exposure, ice baths, freezing cold showers, taken immediately after waking, directly on the chest. You've likely seen the videos, energetic young people stepping into ice water at sunrise, talking about focus, metabolism, discipline, resilience. It looks impressive, it looks healthy, and for a young body with elastic arteries and no underlying disease, it may genuinely be tolerable. But almost none of those videos are made by people over 60, and almost none of them mention what happens when an older cardiovascular system meets sudden, extreme cold. Here's what actually occurs. The instant cold water hits your chest, your body interprets it as a direct threat to survival. Thousands of small blood vessels near your skin slam shut almost instantly, not gradually, all at once, like closing off dozens of side streets to force all the traffic onto a single main road. That remaining space now has to carry all the pressure that used to be spread out, and it can spike dramatically within seconds, sometimes by enormous amounts. For arteries that have lost their elasticity over decades, that sudden spike in pressure is asking tissue that's lost its stretch to suddenly stretch anyway. Add to that a heart forced to beat harder and faster to push blood through all those newly narrowed pathways, right as oxygen demand shoots upward, and you have the exact conditions that can destabilize an already fragile plaque, or trigger a dangerous, chaotic heart rhythm in someone who felt completely fine seconds earlier. This is what makes this particular trend so quietly dangerous. It isn't marketed as risky. It's marketed as the opposite, as proof of strength and discipline. Nobody sits down beforehand and explains that what's genuinely safe for a 25-year-old athlete can be a serious threat to someone with decades of wear on their cardiovascular system, especially if there's any narrowing or weakness they don't yet know about, which is extremely common and rarely causes symptoms until it's already a problem. I understand the appeal. There's something genuinely compelling about a habit that feels bold and disciplined, even a little defiant of getting older. But your body at 65 doesn't need to prove anything to a trend built around bodies in their 20s. Real strength, at this stage of life, looks like knowing which risks are worth taking and which ones were never designed with you in mind. If you are over 60 and drawn to the idea of cold exposure, please don't dive straight into freezing water on your chest. If you want to explore it at all, start with lukewarm water, reduce the temperature gradually over weeks, and always begin at your hands and feet rather than your chest or head. And if you ever feel your heart pounding unusually hard, dizziness, or tightness in your chest during any of this, stop immediately and speak with your doctor. Those aren't signs you're getting stronger. They're your body's warning system doing exactly what it's supposed to do. Before I bring everything together, I need to say something important, clearly and honestly. Everything I've shared in this video comes from real research and years of clinical experience, but it is not a replacement for your own doctor, who knows your personal health history, your medications, and your specific risks. If you live with high blood pressure, diabetes, heart disease, or take medications like blood thinners, beta blockers, or blood pressure medication, please talk to your doctor before making any changes to your morning routine, since some of these adjustments can interact with the medications you're already taking. This video is meant to start an informed conversation with your doctor, not to replace one. Now, here's what all of this comes down to. Stand up slowly, giving your body a full minute or two before rising. Drink water first thing, before coffee, before your phone, before anything else. If you drink coffee, eat something small first, and consider easing off the strongest, fastest cup. Save intense exercise for 2 to 3 hours after waking. And if cold exposure interests you, ease into it gradually, never starting on your chest. None of these changes cost you anything. None of them ask you to give up the things you love. They simply ask you to shift the timing of ordinary habits so your heart isn't fighting all of them at once, in the 1 hour of the day it's least prepared to handle it. If this video gave you something you didn't know before today, that's exactly why I make these. Please subscribe so this reaches you again next time, and so the people you care about can find it through you. Share this with whoever came to mind while you were watching, your mother, your husband, your best friend, whoever it was. That single share might be the reason someone you love makes one small change tomorrow morning, instead of learning about this the hard way. Tell me in the comments which of these 5 habits surprised you the most, and which one you're changing first tomorrow morning. I read every comment, and I promise you, naming it out loud, right now, makes you far more likely to actually follow through. Thank you for staying with me through all 3 parts of this. Respect your heart. It's been working for you every single day, without ever asking for a single day off. The least we can do is give it a fair chance in the hour it needs us most. I'll see you in the next video.